draining. Draining is how I would describe the first few hours of Duet Night Abyss. It's got issues, and it's got major issues in my opinion. These are definitely more subjective issues than an objective glaring technical issue or maybe monetization issue within the game. This is definitely a bit more subjective. I don't necessarily have a problem with the gameplay in the game, although I don't think it's great. I think it's pretty mediocre. It's not bad. It's not amazing. The people who are glazing it, I think people in this space have just got a little bit used to low standards in gacha gameplay and think this is something special. It's not. It's fine now. It is actually fine, but I don't think it's anything special at all. It's serviceable, and mediocre is fine when it comes to gameplay. Not everything has to be the best thing since sliced bread. So the gameplay, I don't really have an issue with it. It's simple, but it makes sense for a game where you deal with a lot of trash mobs. It's a power trip fantasy. It's a power fantasy game, right? The monetization, I don't really have a major problem with either. The characters a little bit more expensive than you would buy in something like Warframe, or compared to other gacha games. And let's face it, this game is targeting gacha players and probably trying to gather some Warframe players as well. It's cheaper than your average cost to a gacha character because you can buy them straight out. I think it works out to something like 70 quid. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but quick maths when we were streaming, it looked like it's around about that, yeah? And then you've got the skin gacha, which I think if that was actually a character gacha, would be kind of good, because you're guaranteed the skin in a sense. So you can get the skin, or you can fail to get the skin and get 25 of these crystals. The skin costs 25 crystals in the store, so in essence you're guaranteed that. Or you get a lower rate of being able to get 50 crystals. So you could either buy the skin and then buy the skin on the next banner, I'm thinking, or you can buy like a car emote thing, which is like 50, which I think is actually pretty good. And I think that roundabout, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's like roundabout 110 to 120 quid dollars that it'll cost you if you went to maximum pity. And this, I'm talking now, I'm going off the store without the bonus prices, I believe. I'm kind of doing this off memory, so again, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're not going into the whole gacha thing because I don't think that's a problem. I want to talk about the story. This is one of the worst experiences I've had in a while in starting a game in terms of the story. I've heard it gets better, but we've heard the old saying in MMOs, it gets good after 100 hours. I don't care about the 100+ hours. I want to know that the run up to the 100 hours is good. And I'm not saying it's going to take 100 hours, but it doesn't start great. It starts so bad, in fact. I was yawning. I will admit, I was phasing in and out of paying interest to the story because it was so uninteresting. The dialogue is abysmal. The storytelling is so poor. And there's VAs in this game that are in other games doing a good job, and the dialogue makes them sound lesser quality VAs, and that's bad. That is really bad. Things that really should take a couple of sentences between characters seem to go on forever. At the point where we met the blacksmith, where you forge stuff, I ended up skipping all the dialogue. I'm like, dude, just tell me where to go and build stuff. I don't want to hear all this waffle. It so annoying in that regard. It was draining. Honestly, it made me feel tired playing it. And again, people were in chat agreeing. There was also people saying, you know, there is some good stuff later on. But that initial start is so bad. Many people won't get to that, in my opinion, if they were feeling like me. And a lot of the chat was saying the same stuff from their own experience and just watching the stream as well. That it was again, draining. I think that's the perfect word. It like made me want to go to sleep. I didn't get much sleep last night, and this game made me angry because of how bad the storytelling is. The character designs, I think, are fine. They're nothing spectacular. Some the typical gacha anime characters, they look good, right? They look good. The rigging and the lack of dynamic scenes when people are talking is on full show. It's just two characters kind of standing opposite each other with probably some of the worst lip syncing I have seen in a game for a long time, to the point where some characters will literally just open their mouth, say an entire sentence before they close it. And that's it. Some of the characters are a little bit better. Obviously, the more main characters and when they're in a little bit more dynamic scenes, if that can even be used in this game. But for the most part, that side of it, it's a pretty poor showing, if I'm honest. A pretty poor showing. People roast Hoyo Games for this, right? I think they need to keep that same energy, because so far what I saw, it's not looking good. Now, I made the mistake, I think, this time. When I played the beta before I got to the city, I ended up going underground and just kind of playing for a bit, and I had fun. But I just went through the story here. I just kind of wanted to get through, you know, go through it and see what it's all about. I think that was a mistake, because I say, the couple of hours I played of the game felt like nothing of any merit happened. There was one scene in the game between the outsider and Fina, I think, and Amy, his sister, where he'd taken a crystal that we'd tried to get to sell to the dude at the house we were stopping at to stay there. And he needed it to kind of make a pretty light show in the house and make her feel better because she's ill and she doesn't get to go out. And it was a nice scene. It was like, oh, I like this. I like this. That was the only time in the game that happened. Like, you start the game with this other woman. These filthoids have kind of taken over and destroyed your village. Everybody's fled. The last boat's gone. And then the girl turns around and says, we need to go to the mountain. There's an airship up there. Let's go. You go there. You fight some monsters on the way. And then you come into contact with Randy. Randy, the aura farm of a name like Randy. He comes in, attacks you. You run away. You get in some combat with the 13th Legion, which they kind of look like Timu Helgas, actually. I thought they looked quite cool. And then you get into a fight with Mommy. She descends from the air, kicks your ass. She looks great. She's sexy. She's a big mama. And you then, after getting your ass beat, kind of awaken a power, right? You awaken a power. And then you fight her again, and you get your ass kicked again. And then just before they're about to kill both of you, they find out that she's got something on her spine, and it's the girl they're looking for. So they decide to throw you off the cliff and take her with them. Before they do that, she Stretch Armstrongs and saves you, your friend. And the woman whips her sword out, which is like a whip sword. And she stabs the girl and says, that ain't how it's happening. You're going off the cliff. You're coming with us. And that happens, and you think you fall to your death, but you speak to, I think, the male version of yourself. And then you wake up, and you're in the middle of nowhere. And you meet the most annoying character. Again, the bargain basement pound store version of Paimon, and I don't like Paimon. This character is just as annoying, if not more so, than Paimon. Little gremlin thing that's just got some of the worst, most annoying dialogue in the game as well. And you meet this woman from the bar who was, I think, sent by some kind of cool looking character to get to you there. Anyway, you go off to the city. You end up going to this dude's house who's a bit of a creep, and he tells you that, you know, you need to pay up and everything. And you go to the tavern, and you end up chasing some dude who stole stuff. And a lot of these missions, right, feel like Dollar Tree MMO missions in a single player game with bloated dialogue, and just it's kind of like fetch quest stuff. Go here, do this little thing, go there, and you feel like you're getting no combat done. In the couple of hours that I got to play, I got very little chance to play the game, and when I did, it was underwhelming. I don't know if I had rose-tinted glasses on when I played the beta, but I swear it felt better. Like, it feels smoother now. The movement feels smoother, although it's not brilliant, but it feels smoother. But I don't know if we've lost impact. Like the gunplay, I don't know if it's a lack of feedback, a lack of impact, a lack of... I'm not too sure quite what it is, but it just doesn't feel good to fight enemies. Now, obviously, there's a lot of trash mobs, and that's how that should be. And it's not even a difficulty thing or the enemies themselves. It's more just that feedback of the combat is just really, really lacking. But again, this is not about the gameplay. Things like that can be tweaked and it can be improved. And I think there's plenty of content here. And I think Endgame has the potential to probably have some like fun to it, right? But if the story's like anything I've experienced going forward, I don't want to interact with that. Now, I was letting the story flow because we were streaming. But if I hadn't have done, I would have just skipped. My honest opinion to most people, that first hour or two of the story, just skip it. Just skip. Apparently, I'm coming up to a mission very soon when you get to like level 26, and apparently that gets good. But bro, I was saying it in stream, it's like the promise of getting laid. You have to let a horse stamp on you before you get there. It's like, I'm alright, man. It doesn't sound that good anymore, if I'm honest. That sounds like a good time, but I've just had to get stamped all over to get there. It's kind of what this felt like. And as I say, draining. Just super draining. Just boring. And sometimes boring's worse than bad. Like, and I think this is a bigger problem than something like Stellasora, right? To me, Stellasora gets fixed with some slight tweaks to the pricing. That's it. I don't need to change the gacha system. I just think some slight tweaks to the pricing, a little bit more pulls in game, and it's fine, right? The game itself is great. This, I think, is rework worthy in terms of the start of this story needs reworking because it's turbo ass. Like the dialogue and everything, the writing, like, man, it's some of the worst writing I've experienced for a while. I've just been playing Chaos Zero Nightmare, right, which has got a good story. Not Haru. Renoa's trauma code quest is brilliant with the true ending, which I was lucky that I went from the bad ending to the good ending to the neutral ending. No, the neutral to the good and then to the true ending. And I think it was quite emotional. Honestly, I was a little bit choked up. Like, you know, I thought it was genuinely an emotional story and it was really well done. Branching storylines, great. You know, in comparison to this, it's night and day. It's actually not. Some of the dialogue lines of the characters are just like, what the hell are they talking about? It's unreal. And it's a shame, as I say. I think there's a VA here who plays Regulus in Reverse 1999. And some of the lines they've got a saying and the way it's directed, it makes her sound a worse VA. And I really like her in Reverse 1999. Yeah, I'm actually quite disappointed. Again, the gameplay, so I'm going to play a little bit more because I want to build up a character or two and I want to experience some more of the other gameplay. And I want to try and see if there is peak in the story. And I will follow up this video with, you know, my opinion on that if I do. But it doesn't take away from this, right? The start is bad. It's like going to a restaurant, the starter sucks, the main sucks, but they make really good desserts. Just because you had a good dessert, it doesn't take away from the rest of the meal tasting like shit. And this start tastes like shit. Like, again, I was yawning constantly. You know, it was almost becoming a Genazad moment. I was starting to just get disinterested, right? Again, this isn't a review. I'm not giving it a 7 out of 10. But it's just, bro, it's... This story, at least the first hour or two, is just not it. It really is not it. Now, you might like it. It's all subjective at the end of the day, right? But I thought it was really bad. And then, like, you're tying that with the, like, lack of dynamic scenes and the terrible syncing with the voices. Really bad. Really, really bad. It just all makes it not feel like a good time. And again, the gameplay, it's just okay. Right? It's just okay. I've played a smidgen of Warframe. And the smidgen I played, I can tell it plays better. And, what's the other game that's recently come out now? The First Descendant, that's it. That's a better game in my opinion in terms of gameplay loop. I just don't think this has quite got it. And do you know what? Crazy statement. I think a lot of people are giving this more props just because they did the thing of removing the gacha. I think a lot of people are looking at it through the filter of, well, they took the gacha out, so they're letting things slide that they wouldn't let if the gacha was there, in my opinion. Taking the gacha away doesn't make the game better. It makes the monetization potentially better, right? It doesn't make the game better, and it hasn't made this game better. There's a lot of the old elements of the gameplay that's still part of the gacha here, right? You can tell it was definitely, we know it was a last-minute decision, but you can tell that in the way the game plays, in my opinion. Sound-wise, the music's great, right? I think the environments are pretty decent. The hub area that you go to first, which is pretty much Belobog, I think looks really cool. Some nice lighting here and there. But other than that, I think, yeah, monetization, I'll give it a pass, you know? Gameplay, I'll give it a pass, right? It's not something that I would ache to play. But the story and the voice, not the voice acting, the writing and the dialogue, which then negatively affects the voice acting, and the animation, the rigging, it's a poor showing. A poor showing. Oh, I'm here again, Doom posting a game, but I'm only being honest in how I feel about the game, okay? I have to be. I see a lot of glaze on this game at the moment, and I don't quite get it. Honestly, quite get it. Again, opinions are opinions. Just because I don't like it, or at least like the story, and think the gameplay's average, doesn't mean you can't think it's amazing. I'm not trying to tell you that. I'm just a little bit disappointed. After playing the beta, I was quite excited. Now I'm thinking, did I have like a dream that the gameplay was better than what it was? I don't know. I don't know what it was. But I didn't have fun streaming this today. And I usually can look past things in games and just have a laugh streaming. Couldn't wait till my stream ended today. And that's bad. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think down below. Are you enjoying Duet Night Abyss? What do you think of the story? What do you think of the gameplay? Obviously, the technical issues will get fixed. I'm not worried about those. This story situation, though, I think this is a bigger fix that's a little bit more major than, you know, fixing bugs, fixing gacha stuff. Quite a big rework needed, in my opinion, for the first few hours. And the dialogue, man, I need to get some new writers. Yeah, let me know what you think down below. Guys, if you've enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all in the next one. Dara.